Welcome back to The Watch. And I think we just endured what might be one of the dumbest pieces of television I've ever seen. Tyrant?
Yep. No, it's not a joke. This was unbelievably bad in terms of the writing. I've never thought that, like, just to sum it up, every scene contradicts the last scene. The characters contradict themselves in the same sentence. It's crazy.
Some of the most stupid things I've ever seen. Like so dumb, I have trouble believing a person could be so illogical and devoid of common sense to write this slop.
Yeah.
Like, the most basic, normal person who would look at so many things that happen would just think, that doesn't make sense. This is all retarded. Mm-hmm. Like, it is so bad. I see something dumb while watching it, and I get like, what the hell is that? I'm about to get angry, and then I get hit by something else that's stupid, and I'm trying to recover from that. And as I'm starting to try and comprehend that, and I'm starting to get angry from that, I'm going, what? That? Then I'm getting hit with another thing, and I'm getting beaten down by this stupid to the point where I'm almost beyond feeling. I'm almost numb from it all. I can't believe this is where we're at.
One thing that I do want to say, without a spoiler, is that this is the worst depiction of Jedi I have ever seen in any sort of Star Wars media.
Yeah.
They are not Jedi.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is hyper emotional, hyper, like, scared of things, terrified of things, do not act like Jedi in any sort of sense of the word at all. And the problem is, this is a Jedi episode. It's all about the Jedi. You see the problem there?
Even the opening setup, it turns out they were on the planet surveying things, looking for the cause for why this planet has lots of life. And I'm like, I was watching that's not a job for the Jedi. Don't they have, like, assistants and stuff to do, like, the Jedi are supposed to be peacekeepers and stuff. Right. Why are they doing grunt work, soil samples? And it's like, because they're searching for a virgins in the Force. And it's like, yeah, so you are just doing the whole, this is Anakin before Anakin, so therefore the chosen one means nothing.
Yep.
Great job. And like, there was actual reason to explain the virgins that created Anakin. If you go into the EU about was it Plagueis and Sidious trying to create a Force-sensitive being, clone thing that they could inhabit or whatever, and the Force created Anakin to balance it out.
That's perfect.
And I think that's a really good logical thing. Why did this happen? Because a bunch of lesbians wanted to just... Like that's where this show goes, and that's basically what it does. There's no reason or explanation for this. And we will be going into the breakdown point by point, all spoilers and stuff. I'm still in awe. I'm recovering from the stupid in this. And this is the flashback episode, by the way, where the mystery is revealed.
So there's one more episode left. Thank God. There's one more episode left, and this was an entire flashback episode. And keep in mind, if we actually just step back, look at episodes 1 to whatever the hell we're up to, not much has happened in the actual story.
Barely anything.
And now this was an entire...
nothing episode.
Yeah.
Like they do the re-flashback from a different perspective or point of view.
Let me put it this way. Does any of this flashback change the context of the story?
Basically, no.
No.
Like, what the Jedi say at the end is that Mace started a fire and everyone died.
Which is what happened.
Is true. That's exactly what happened. Like, this show is trying to build itself up. They literally promote it. The show knows everything. This is a mystery, an intriguing mystery. What really happened? And this is the answer? Are you kidding me? It's unbelievable. Like, I had low expectations, but holy crap. Like we were kind of talking about it beforehand, and I was thinking, all right, I need to think of the dumbest, choice that they would make for the story. And they even went further than that. I am constantly put in shock and awe and surprised by how stupid they choose to be in the writing. Okay. We were trying to say, okay, something that what they could do, right? And this was like some of the most bare minimum, like, low standards I was giving them. That was like, it'll probably be from Osha's perspective, from May's perspective this time, and Osha could have been brainwashed to see May actually do the bad thing, and May actually wasn't doing that.
Right.
No, it is May doing it.
But keep in mind, even if that was true, that still doesn't change the context, because the evil twins still went around and killed Jedi Masters, making her a bad person. So, like, you see what I mean? But that changes nothing.
Yeah.
And what we've seen changes nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, it makes it worse, actually, because it's... Oh.
I mean, that we were expecting that the Jedi would need to have killed everyone, and this was supposed to give May the motivation for wanting to be a psycho mass murdering nutcase to kill.
And I mean, they kind of, like, it's so... This is the problem. They're all dumb.
It was legitimate self-defense now.
Yeah.
And the way that they all died is comically retarded.
Is crazy.
Unbelievable, right? And they're trying to paint the Jedi as done this unforgivable crime. Like, I literally said I was going to be two extremes. They're either going to ruin the Jedi by making him do something so ridiculously evil that's unforgivable and they ruin the Jedi, or it'll be a nothing burger that no one should really take offense from. I wasn't expecting it to be this much of a nothing burger. Not only that, they actually portray it that the Jedi are justified in what they're doing and will break it out. It's unbelievable.
Yes, the Jedi are justified in defending themselves.
Yes.
Sure. How they get to the point of needing to defend themselves.
They're all retarded. Like, all it took for them to de-escalate things and not to do it is just say, we don't want you to take our daughter. And the Jedi would have said, okay. But they're so friggin' stupid that they're like, our daughter wants to do something that the parents disagree with, but we have to respect the decision of a child.
But it's not in that. It's how we get to that point. They go, oh, these are magical space twins. And then the Padawan goes, right, that's it, guys. I'm going to go kidnap the children. Like, that's the progression of that scene. And you're sitting there like, hold on a second. And then what's his name? Sol goes, wait, Padawan, you're not allowed to go. And then the next scene, he's like, help me scale these walls.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Like, it's like it's been written by someone who has split personality and forgets the previous scene or something like that.
That's why I said at the start, like, every scene contradicts the last scene of what the character motivations are. And you're just confused by the decisions people are making here. It's like a human should not have been able to write this. It's so bad if they just understand cause and effect, just basic logic and reality. It's bonkers. All right, basically, this is a 0 out of 10. This is a negative out of 10. This is not even on a scale of like, this shouldn't be on television. It's
anti-art. It is an insult to human intelligence.
Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get into spoilers.
Let's get into spoilers. So, by the way, Tyrant, you know, like you come to work, you got to work for a certain set amount of hours, and sometimes work sucks and you don't want to be at work, and you think about like, oh, I don't want to be here, if only I could go home, right? If someone came to you and said, hey, by the way, like, you really want to go home, don't you? What if I let you go home now instead of later? Would that... would
that make me kill you?
Yeah. Would that temptation be enough?
Oh, I could kill Shad and just go home.
Exactly.
No, because I was sitting there thinking about the whole episode. I'm like, I've been homesick before, and I've been really homesick, but never to the point where I'm like, I'm just going to kill everybody around me. I'm going to turn evil because I want to go home.
Like you would entertain temptation from the most evil entity imaginable.
Especially in a situation where you're surrounded by enemy combatants and you're in danger. And one of those people who's the danger goes, you want to go home, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, you want to submit to me, you want to kneel. And you're like, yeah, I want to go home. It's the character motivation for that Padawan is ridiculous.
Can we convey how stupid this is? Because that is the crux temptation that causes him to
want to kidnap children, to submitting to the evil dark witches, and literally disobeying his masters and the Jedi way and everything, all because he wants to go home to Coruscant. And
he can go home anyway once the mission is done. It's not like he's barred from it. He's just going home a little bit early.
It's crazy.
I'm speechless by how dumb this is. And then he thinks like that he needs to kidnap the child for proof of the virgins to complete the mission to go home when he already has the proof in the blood sample. That's why they know it's a virgins.
Yeah.
It's so retarded. Holy crap.
Because I could not think of a more out of place character motivation than that. Like you're in some unknown world. You're surrounded by evil witches in the night. You know, they've all got their weapons, and you're just sitting there like, I I really want to go home, guys. And it's like, okay, sure, but it's persistent throughout the episode. All the decisions he makes is all hinges upon that.
I know. And it's not like his Frodo trapped in Mordor that he'll never see the Shire again. He knows he will be able to go home once they complete the mission.
They're literally on a nice, green, lush planet camping.
And the witch comes to him and says, like, the Jedi aren't letting you go home. Aren't the Jedi mean? I'll let you go home.
And then she's like, go on, ask me. Ask me. And he doesn't even ask her. He just says a statement. He says, I want to go home. And she goes, all right, that's magic word. I now control you. And it's like, hang on. He didn't even do what you asked.
I know.
What are you talking about?
And the thing is, he actually entertains the temptation. Is like,
he wants to go home.
You could help me get home. It's like, does this guy have a brain? Everything is retarded. I can't comprehend. And remember, that's the crux temptation that causes the events to happen. And think about the comparison about being tempted to the dark side. Anakin loves a woman.
Wants to save his
save her life.
His wife. He wants to save everybody.
He has a vision of her dying, and so he is obsessed with the fact that she is going to die in pain, and he thinks that the dark side is the only way to save the love of his life and his child.
Versus a kid that wants to go home.
A kid that wants to go home. This is just like... I can't... I'm done. My brain is broken from this.
Yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
like, what is... And... they unironically are pushing this forward as this remarkably written show with this great mystery.
No. Anyway, shall we go through...
Yeah, okay, so the show opens up with the Jedi being grunt-like survey workers. And not only just one Jedi, I think this is like a job to menial for even a Jedi peacekeeper that, has important stuff to do. They got 3 and a Padawan.
Well, so the context is there are different corps of the Jedi. There are like ones that go do healing and medical work. There aren't all fighters.
Okay.
So, like, would a Jedi do this? Yeah, okay. They would probably send a survey team. But it would have to be like, something's happened here. We really know something's happened here. Not like maybe something
I know.
happened.
All they know is that this planet was barren 100 years ago.
And now
it's really lush now.
And it's like, well, that's actually... pretty, that's not out of the ordinary.
It could be explained by any number of things, but they're like, no, virgins in the Force. And virgins in the Force, so important. 3.5 Jedi sent go and spend 7 weeks on the planet finding nothing.
Yep.
I pause and just process this a bit. When I heard 7 weeks, I was like, what? Like, they did show the witch's, base on top of a mountain.
Yep.
Right out in the open.
I'm okay with this because worlds are big. So,
surely they've got scanners that can scan for buildings.
I would assume this as well because it's high technology, but at the same time, I'm not going to begrudge them for not knowing it because if they're doing the whole planet, which is ridiculous... Sure,
we know they can scan for life forms, and if they can detect a small group clumped together of life forms, like Luke is doing that when he gets to, is it Dagobah? And there's like heaps of life forms when they're scanning the planet, and it seems like you can also scan for like animal life forms. Like they should have found this on the first day they arrived. It's unforgivable, and it's literally on top of a mountain out in the open, not that far away from their camp.
Yep.
7 weeks. It's just like, wow, this episode is starting great. Like, we can tell the intelligence on display here. Oh my gosh. And then, of course, they drop the virgins, right? And the hilarious thing is, Padawan, working 7 weeks, okay? For that whole 7 weeks, he doesn't know why they're there. They're only telling him now why they are looking and surveying the planet.
What annoys me more is, like, a good teacher, just in a general sense, understands the struggles of, like, their pupils, right? And they're like, oh, this kid can't get his emotions right. It's like, he's been out there for 7 weeks and he's bored. Don't get me wrong. Like, he didn't even do anything because they're sitting by the campfire and he's like, we found nothing. I'm kind of bored. And she's like, keep your emotions under control, right? I'm just sitting there like,
I mean,
hold on.
I can see where you're coming from, but I'm also from multiple angles. He's on a pleasant camping trip on this nice, idyllic planet.
Sure, but kids always don't appreciate that, which is fine. But like, I have no problem with him being like, I want to go home, I'm bored. I have an issue with like her being like, oh, you're unreasonable for this. And it's like, bro's a kid. He doesn't care.
Well, see, I'm actually kind of on her side because he's supposed to be a Jedi or training to be a Jedi. That has been like, shouldn't he understand that? From a young age, there's going to be some monotonous tasks you have to do as a Jedi. If you can't hack that, why the hell are you even training?
You know, not all Padawans become Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Like, some are just not Jedi material, which all of these people aren't, by the way.
Yeah.
None of them, I should add.
But anyway, so yeah, it's an Anakin ripoff. The Virgins in the Force thing has happened, and they're just bastardizing the lore of what this really means, what it can do, and they're making up nonsense to shoehorn and force their story in, and we'll get to the whole it needs to have been a great power to split one mind into two, and that can only be done with the Virgins and all that. It's all just nonsense, arbitrary slop, word salad to spew out pseudo bullcrap to justify something dumb, a plot device that is dumb. Okay, so Sol, he decides to just ride off randomly somewhere, and he comes across the girls.
No, he was told.
He was told
to go to the west side or the.
Oh yeah, the place they hadn't checked yet.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, it doesn't take like you could get in a ship, do some quick like surveying areas, like flying over vast swaths.
That's also something that I found funny is that they're outside camping and they have like a caravan out there when they have a ship.
They've got a ship.
I was confused by that. Yeah, that is something. Yeah.
So he just stumbles upon the girls, and that's when they're doing the whole outside butterfly
it's creepy.
thing. Yeah.
Sol is creepy. Mm-hmm. He just happens upon these little girls, and then he's like obsessed throughout the whole show. It's weird when I think about it.
He does feel like she is going to be his Padawan, and he knows that for some reason.
But that's weird.
Mm-hmm. Though, the fact that they are concerned for children being raised by a cult of now confirmed dark side users. They are dark side users. She literally says, like, give into your passions kind of thing to the guy, right? And the whole taking over someone's consciousness against their will. Yeah, this is all dark side stuff.
They didn't know any of that before they got there.
Not until after the first meeting, I agree. And so, yeah, Sol then he follows them because my actual thing about once they can confirm that these witches are dark side users, that's a problem, okay? Their actions, following on, even though they're contradicting the setup to it, some of their actions are fully justified. And they're trying to portray it as the Jedi doing something really wrong and bad.
Like what?
Like defending themselves when their witches are ready to unleash a dark side smoke demon on them.
See, the problem is they broke in. Like, if someone who breaks into my house. Yeah. Like, this is why it's so complicated, because there's so many. All of it is wrong on both sides. The setups are wrong. First off, the Jedi don't steal children. They do tests. They're not mandatory or anything. Yeah. And that was a contradiction in the line that they said.
It's the same line that they had in like episode 3, where it's like, we have a right to test children with your permission, of course.
It's like, well, that's not a right then. Yeah. There's contradictions like that everywhere.
But that sets up something important. That means the witches could just simply say no to the Jedi, and the Jedi would leave.
Exactly.
All this conflict is nonsense.
Exactly. So we have the issue of them portraying the Jedi as like, well, we kind of just want to take the children, so we're going to take them anyway, and we're justified because we're good. And it's like, well, that's not really what the Jedi did. Then we have the issue of, they're dark side users, but then it becomes a bit more of a moral quandary where it's like, well, what right do you have to take someone else's child away? And then if they are under abuse, sure, you can.
Yeah, like, there's clearly a line.
That's what I mean. We're kind of in this weird give and take, but the problem is, even if there's proof of that, which they don't really have, they just are so convinced that they're going to take those children.
I mean, Sol does see the girls being he doesn't see them in the ritual, but he sees them preparing for a ritual, and he overhears and everything. And
the issue with this is, you're in a galaxy filled with thousands of different cultures that have thousands of different rituals.
Yeah,
who are you to decide what's right or wrong?
I mean, if it was just a ritual, I agree with you. But if it's a dark side ritual, I'm actually kind of starting to lean towards the Jedi. They actually have a bit of right to police who's using the Force or not because of the dark side. As soon as you start using the Force, it means you're open to the temptation of the dark side. The Jedi have proven that they can for the large majority, resist and are responsible Force users. But if they hear that there's a coven of witches using the Force that are raising children in them, and it's like, okay, they're using the Force, the first question I'd have, light side or dark side? If these people are dark side, and then I'm seeing weird rituals going on and stuff like that, I'll be like, okay, this is giving me bad vibes.
But the problem is by what right?
Yeah, we're not at the right yet. I think what's confirmed when the witch overtakes the young Padawan guy, that's a dark Force ability, I would say, 100%.
Well, first off, I would say that's an act of aggression.
Exactly, yes.
So that's different.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, by what right do the Jedi have to enforce their beliefs on other people with Force powers? Light or dark?
Well, this is actually one of the more complex discussions then because the presence of the dark side gives them some measure of policing authority.
But the problem is the issues is all of the dark side, let's say, emotions are all natural emotions.
That's just true.
So by what right do you say, well, my emotions are better than yours? And which is also a weird contradiction because all the Jedi are hyper emotional
in this.
So we're getting into a bit of more philosophical, overarching stuff.
But it underpins the possible reasons for the character's actions, which is why it's worth discussing.
Sure.
Yet, having said all that, it's contextualized by the Jedi simply saying, with your permission, which establishes all the witches need to do is say no. Yep. Yet they have this retarded standard that our child can choose to leave her home and become a Jedi, and we need to respect their decisions. Like, hang on, no. Parents make those decisions for children because children aren't old enough to actually weigh up all the pros and cons, to look after themselves and all that stuff. And so it's this interesting standard that they have, that if a child chooses their life path even before they're of age, we need to respect it. And gee, I wonder where they're getting that kind of practice and belief from.
So the problem we have with this is that Anakin in The Phantom Menace, when he chooses, is because he's a slave. So he's getting freed from slavery, and his mother realizes...
His mother wants that to happen. She's like, yeah.
And first off, you're going to go to Coruscant. Like, being a Jedi wasn't a bad thing as well. So if a child chooses to be a Jedi, most parents in the galaxy are kind of like, this is hard, they're going to leave, I'm not going to have my child anymore, but at the same time, they're going to go off to turn into Jedi Knights and protect people. So most people are kind of okay with it. Yeah. But there are obviously people out there who are like, I'm good.
Yeah, you know? And they show the Jedi are seeking consent to do this.
But this is the problem, is they depict Sol as, no matter what those witches say, he's going to take those children. Yeah. That's the issue I have.
And so I think where I'm falling on this is that his desire to take the children without first knowing if there is abuse or dark side, brainwashing going on, feels way over the line. But once they establish their dark force users and it's an evil witch of, a coven of witches and stuff like that, I was like, okay, that's a concern. They literally want... there's a line where they say that they are going to sacrifice a girl to her destiny to lead their coven. And that's a friggin' red flag. It's in their testing scene, and we'll get to that. But anyway, Sol, he goes, he sees the cult rituals going on, and the girl's there. He reports back and is saying... He is too obsessed with the girls, because I think the primary concern is we have a cult of Force users that very well might be dark Force users. We are researching a virgins in the Force and we find these group of people. That's a friggin' red flag. You would want to find out what's going on, but then they're like, we need to take the children now or whatever, and they decide to just walk in and say, how's you going?
Yeah. Well, they break in, but
they break in. They hack the thing and go up there.
Which personally, as someone who believes in self-defense, if you break into my house, all bets are off. So I'm okay with. This is the problem when I say both sides are like the setups here are wrong.
It's awful. And would the Jedi actually break in? Like, if they say that they need permission to do all this, but we have a right to test with your permission, wouldn't they just knock on the door? And
that's what I mean. Is if they're not there for threatening, they're not there to do anything.
Why did they break in? And because they did knock, but no one answered, right? Knock louder. Wait for someone to come out.
Did they knock? I didn't think they knocked at all.
I think Sol knocked when he first tried to go in. And
no, he went in and he went, beep, beep. Oh, it's not opening.
Oh.
Better sneak in.
So they might not have even knocked. And so then they're replaying the scene where they're first confronting the witches, but now we see what's going on with the Padawan boy, whatever guy who kills himself, and he's actually being tempted. And this is where I would have full confirmation that, okay, these witches are dark side users. And then the temptation is insane. This is the whole stupid where you want to go home, I can help you go home sooner.
Sorry, it's just, I would love to have that scene edited with someone with like a Snickers bar, like... You hungry?
Would you entertain the very thing you've been trained for years to not even, but you know...
Want some candy?
But you know, just pay attention to your emotions and your feelings, indulge in them for a like a Snickers. You want a Snickers, don't you? But it's that dumb, but it's this time it's like, you want to go home.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's so stupid. And then he does say like, I want to go home. And he gets mind raped, right? Yeah. Like, his mind gets overtaken, and that's the whole where you do not go... Thing is, though, that's a pretty dark force ability. And the Jedi, okay, yeah, they broke in. They're not whipping out their swords or anything like that. And so that's an act of escalation.
It is. I would agree with that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's one of those things where it is a bit weird to have Jedi show up and be like, we want to see your children.
Yeah, it is weird.
I'd be like, hang on a minute. What do you want?
Your child wants to pursue, a future that she has identified with, and if you disagree with that, we, with the power of the state, will come and take.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Like they break in, they're like, "We're not here to attack you. We just want to see your daughters." And I'm like, "Okay, hold on a second."
It's sus, yeah. But anyway, that scene concludes the exact same as it was before, where Osha's like, "I want to be tested." And the witches are just like, well, we have to respect the child's, choices in this.
One thing I will add is that the mother witch did seem reasonable, because she took over his mind and then she said, you can have him back, just go away, which is reasonable.
Okay, yeah, granted. That would still be like, as a Jedi,
you'd be like,
dark force ability.
There's a problem. But at the same time, she's not attacking me, she's just telling me to go away, which is fair.
So... I couldn't believe that the guy was tempted by it and actually entertaining it. There's the whole line here, right, to test. So they get back, and Sol is like, they marked the girl with dark magic. And I'm like, don't you mean the Force?
Yeah, this is the problem with this is it's supposed to be the Force, because the daughters use the Force, but the abilities that they use is just straight up magic.
Yeah, it's nonsense, arbitrary, pull out of your butt whatever you want it to do.
And before anybody brings up like the Night Sisters also just used random magic. Like this is this is an issue.
The Force used to have very limited applications, which is basically telepathy and telekinesis in limited ways.
There's also lightning. There's also like...
Lightning was the only big introduction because it was like, a Dark Force. I'm talking about the original trilogy, right?
Original trilogy had lightning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that made sense for like, a particularly bad enemy.
I know that people are going to bring it up, like Palpatine had other abilities to influence battles and all this sort of stuff. Yes, fine. But we're talking about like...
Now it's healing, mind control.
Well, now it's more like it went from a invisible ability to like just magic smoke, like Scarlet Witch in Marvel. Like they've changed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they had teleport. You can teleport objects in the sequels, and it's just now whatever magic. The Force will be able to do anything, and you just justify it with magic now. It's nonsense.
You can fly through space like Mary Poppins.
Yeah. And so I would be thinking like, the biggest concern they would have is like, these are dark side users. What are we going to do about a coven of dark side users that are, brainwashing children into their cult? I reckon that would be on their mind.
The problem with that is there wasn't a lot of children. There was only 2, and it was their children.
Yeah.
So it's not as if they're going out and recruiting, it seems. It just seems like it's their children.
So there is a different scene where they show them trying to test May, and May says that her cult her mother told her that everyone must be sacrificed to fulfill their destiny, and their purpose is to lead the coven. And I was just like, hang on, they're unironically wanting children to lead the coven. And then, that line, you must be sacrificed to fulfill your destiny. Again, that gives you vibes of the dark side. And I know that there's like destiny on the light side and and embrace it and stuff, but Vader was using that, come to the dark side, it is your destiny to join me type of stuff. I would feel like as a Jedi in this situation, I'd have enough evidence to say they're dark side users.
That doesn't seem more dark side to me. That seems more like just communism. Like the individual needs to be
sacrificed for the good of the collective. Which is also about equivalently evil, so I'd also have red flags with that. Then they send off this one is amazing.
This annoyed me so much.
They actually send a message to the council now, so the Jedi Council are fully aware. Cult of dark side witches, brainwashing children, potentially sacrifice, stuff like that. And the council's response was, don't interfere. You've already interfered too much.
Well, they say more than that. Because first off, the motivations of the little Padawan is like, can we go home, guys? Is it time to go home? And they go, the council's upset. They've said, we've already interfered too much, but we still have to stay here. It's like, what? That's literally a contradiction within itself.
Yeah, and there's layers, because I just have an issue with the council saying, yeah, they'll be fine, leave them alone. And it's like, are you friggin' kidding me? No friggin' way the Jedi would just leave. Their purpose is to partially police the Force and pay attention for any dark side corruption.
No, because keep in mind, this is the other thing. If you're too old, you can't take the trials, and you're not allowed to be a Jedi.
And that was they did say she's too old anyway. She's too old.
So that's why they were kind of no, we don't need that child. She's too old. It's too late. Blah blah blah. But then that's when Sol does the creepy kind of we have to save them. We have to go and get them no matter what.
And then. They decide to stay out. They were told to stay on the planet, and you're just wondering, hang on, what? Okay, and I'm still got the questions do they even because they're not showing any concern that these witches are probably dark side users. It doesn't even get mentioned, the dark side, in this episode, even though they're literally taking over people's minds against their will, their eyes going black, and they've got this weird, really dark vibe to them. Doesn't even mention. And then there's a line do not alter this little girl's destiny because of your feelings. Again, the Jedi being way too emotional.
Way too emotional.
And so they finally get the blood test back.
This scene is...
The logic here is it's all nonsense. It's a made-up piece of bullcrap with made-up piece of bullcrap to justify that. And so have you ever heard of a symbionts? Not a symbiosis, but a symbionts.
He says the M count, which they're talking about, midichlorian count, which is standard. I don't know, but then they say the sim something is exactly identical. And then they do the beep, 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 beep. Oh, identical type thing.
And it's like they're trying to say DNA, but no, they would have the same DNA being twins. Yeah. And so they make up this new word, which is some type of force detecting thing that I guess Force users have a Force ID DNA marker, which is called symbionts.
It's basically that their conscience was once a one person, they've just split it into
it is such a defined, understood thing that it is literally impossible for two people to have the same symbionts, whatever that is. In fact, the only way two people could have the same symbionts is literally if their consciousness was split into two. Yeah. That's how...
Which implies that it's one of a kind type thing.
Yeah, right? But that's how, rock solid a symbionts is, whatever the hell it is.
Well, keep in mind the Padawan knew this. And all the other Jedi were just yep, makes sense.
Yep, and so then they extrapolate from this understanding that the fact that these two girls have the same symbionts, they must have then, because clearly this is just where the logic points, right? They must have their single consciousness having split into two, which would have required such great power, only a virgins in the Force could have achieved it. And I'm just you're just making up bullcrap now. It's just bullcrap to justify whatever you want at this point.
Yep.
And I'm not saying you can't make up world-building elements to justify where you want in the plot, but you usually have it underpinning by a vein of logic and reason to it that's also understood in place. They're just injecting, making up bullcrap right in the very moment. symbionts can't be split into two, force, and like a vergence, right? Well, has that been defined in the EU any more than like what Qui-Gon said? I believe this is a vergence in the Force. And it's like, because in the context of the prequels, that just sounded like a rare, strange oddity.
Like, does it matter anymore? This is the thing that I come back to, is like, canon means nothing anymore to anybody. Because everybody out there in the comments, I bet you there's a whole bunch of comments like, my head canon is this. It's like, great, if your head canon's that, it's great. But what's the actual canon? The actual canon is Book of Boba, it's Kenobi, it's the Acolyte, it's just whatever at this point.
So this is where we reach something comically dumb.
Oh, this is...
Because...
This scene was like a special kind of bad.
So, they've established that a symbiont is so rock solid that the only way it could have happened was that conscious splitting into two, great power needed, vergence in the Force. The only explanation is a vergence in the Force, right? Then, Padawan, homeboy, whatever his name is, he says, that's it. All we need, and I'm paraphrasing, but he effectively says, all we need now is proof, and we can go home.
Yep.
And he said, and he's like, we have to get the girls to get the proof. And I'm like, hang on, don't you already have the proof?
Okay.
The DNA proves the symbionts, which then proves the vergence. Or you have the DNA. Job completed. Yep. But it's like, no, we have to get the girls to go home.
Keep in mind, first off, he goes, that's it. I'm going to kidnap those girls. He goes and gets on his speeder, surrounded by 3 Jedi Masters who don't try to stop him, except for Sol, who says, like, who screams at him, like, wait, like, you're not allowed to go. That was the vibe, right? He then leaves, and then in the very next scene, him and Sol are both at the witch castle, and Sol's like, all right,
let's go.
Help me get the girl. Help me break in. This is what I mean by, like, the motivations from scene to scene don't even match up with what's happening.
It's insane. And then it's like, we have to protect the girls or something like that now, and completely flipped. But the very catalyst of them needing to do it is contradicted by them introducing this world-building thing, showing that they already have the proof they need. But they can't even pay attention to that. And the contradiction's like, no, we have to get the girls. And it's insane where, like, hang on. You now are willing to kidnap girls from their home to get proof of a vergence, when before it was, we need to protect the girls from this evil dark cult.
Well, even more than that, think of it like this. The motivation for that Padawan is just to go home, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go kidnap children, you're going to get kicked out of the Order.
Yeah.
You're not a Jedi.
Yeah.
You're not worthy.
Is he that retarded?
So why is he going to kidnap the children just so he can go home? If you're willing to go that far, just leave the Order and go home, dude. Like,
and
legit.
Defenders will try and say his brain has been addled by the witches, so he's not thinking straight. And it's like, come on, you don't like.
He gave in to the witches, because he wanted to go home. This is the problem.
Like, if he was so desperate to break protocol and Jedi rules to go home, you know what he could do?
What?
Hop in the ship and go home.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a kid. Like, if he's been tempted that much by the witches that he's willing to do something retarded to go home, the ship is right there.
Like, given to the dark side, or kidnap children.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by the motivations are so crazy for these characters. But
for some reason, he is just obsessed with the fact that he needs to kidnap the girls to go home now.
But think of it like Sol. Sol's motivation for this, he's willing to break the code, kill an unarmed combatant, break into somebody's house, go against all of what the other masters are saying and the council to kidnap children. He's also not worthy of being a Jedi. You see what I'm saying? Like,
it's nuts. It is just retarded nonsense here, okay? And so, again, the Padawan's motivations, right? Like, if he had any brains, he would already realize, I've already got the evidence, or we don't need to kidnap the girls. Like, there's multiple ways to go home. He doesn't need to be this stupid. But because the writers seem to be that dumb, this is what they do. And so, there you go. That's his ticket home. That's literally what he says. And I'm just watching this like, are you retarded? What is going on? And then right? May is like angry that Osha is going to join the Jedi. Yeah. And the Horn Mother comes in and says, good girl, get angry. And then she's like she is wanting May, to go nuts to stop Osha leaving. And it's like, you're the mum. All you need to do is say no.
Yeah.
The Jedi said they need your permission.
Yep.
Just tell her no.
Yep.
But instead, she's going to rile up her psycho daughter to do something crazy to stop Osha from going, because it's that important to stop Osha from going. She'll resort to that, yet she can't realise and just think, I could just say no and stop her from going. It's so stupid. And so that's what sets, like, May off. And May, is like, I'm going to, And so May goes, and they're all letting her make the decisions now. And May decides to break the exit door, and she's like, no one can leave now.
Yep.
And I was like, and everyone else is on board with it. And I'm like, okay, so if you broke the front door, Osha can't leave then.
Yeah.
Do you need to do anything else? Problem achieved.
I'm okay with
problem solved.
Her being irrational because she's a child.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She's a child.
That's
who's
why
angry.
they shouldn't lead, and it'll be dumb to put her in charge.
Also, why they shouldn't make life-altering decisions at however old.
Yes.
And she does a whole bunch of dumb stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that is a child. So whatever.
But all the adults are going on board.
The adults make the same.
Yeah, I know. It's
gobbledygook decisions.
But if even the child had half a brain, she would realise, well, no one can get out now because I broke the front door. But then she decides to go to Osha again, and oh wow, this is comical.
I'm okay with this scene.
I think it's hilariously dumb.
Oh, like the physics of it, I think is ridiculous.
Yes,
but
it is.
The actions, I can understand because there are videos on the internet of children doing dumb stuff like.
Why did she like the book?
Because it didn't have all the Jedi drawings and crap in it.
Is that what the book was? I thought it was just some random, witch book that they had there.
No, I thought it was, her book that symbolised that she wants to go to the Jedi, blah, 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 blah. I could be wrong. I don't care about the show. Because
she's there, she grabs the book and intentionally sets it on fire,
yes.
And it really looks like her intent is to light it up. But then once it's on fire, they try to play it off like, oh, I gotta put it out, and she can't, and then she drops it.
I'm okay with that because that happens in real life. People do dumb things where they'll light something on fire and it sets on fire quickly and they go, oh, I'm so surprised. There are countless videos of idiots doing
I don't think they explained why she set it on fire well at all. To me, that was the intent where it really looked like all the way up
setting it on fire
to burn, her sister and kill her sister.
Not her sister. It just looked like she was trying to burn the book, and then the book went on fire, and she was unprepared.
I know that's what they were trying to sell.
It.
But that's why I feel it's retarded, because everything up to when it lights on fire felt like she was trying to kill her sister still. They don't change any of the looks or the interactions.
Well, the issue that I had with it was what happens directly after that, where all the concrete and everything just.
Because remember, Osha heard May literally say, I'm going to kill you. They don't contradict that. They don't even re-show it. But in this episode 3, I think it is, May literally says, oh, I can stop you from leaving by killing you.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Yeah, but that's.
Nor will I.
Yeah, and so then she exits, locks the door on Osha. Osha's now locked in, looking in. She picks up the book, sets it on fire. All of that setup is not contradicted in that episode. That's what I mean. I still think her intention is to kill her. And then the fact that she's like, oh no, I'm really not trying to kill her, I'm trying to pull it out, is retarded nonsense.
Okay, but in this episode, we get the true version of events, right? And in the true version, she doesn't say that at all.
No, they skip it. They don't even re-show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but which indicates that still happened in the telling of the other one, because they don't contradict it. So May was still trying to kill Osha. If they wanted, they would have reshit.
You know what? Because I can think of reasons why, but that's me doing the job.
And
so
it doesn't deserve that charity. And that's what I mean. Everything in the lead up still shows May trying to kill Osha, and the fact that they're trying to now, oh, but she really didn't mean it. I'm like, piss off. She said she's going to kill her. Oh my gosh. And so it continues on. It is not a decision to make, but it is ours. That's so the parents are discussing, right? And they say it's like one of the other witches says it isn't her decision to make, it is ours. And then she responds like, no, we must be, her wishes must be considered. I'm like, you're the parents. No, she doesn't. She's going to make a life-changing decision like joining the Jedi and everything like that. That's something that needs parental consent, but the parents are like, nah, you have to respect what the child wants. Again, wonder where the writers are getting that logic. And so...
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Because the exact quote is, her wish must be considered.
Okay.
Which is, like, fair, right?
But they're not stopping her from doing it.
That's true. But if your kid says to you, I want some ice cream, you can say no. But you can go, well, if they want ice cream, I can make the decision. But you can take it into consideration.
But their actual actions show that... she wants to go with the Jedi. We can't stop her. In fact, the only way to stop her is for me to get her sister to go crazy.
Yeah.
That's her plan to stop the Jedi.
Because the main witch leader, she's like, yeah, I'm going to let her go. That's what she wants to do. She can go with the Jedi. And then the other one's like, nah, I'm going to fight them all, type thing.
And by the way, the concrete does light on fire just as before. This time they're showing a few more electrical sparks, but they are also showing that it is those electrical sparks and that fire that causes the reactor to explode.
Yeah. I have no idea how.
How does that work?
Like, a little bit of oil from that lamp goes on the floor.
Yeah.
But, like, it's still concrete.
Exactly.
We're talking about concrete and metal everywhere.
And we saw it in the previous episode. It, travels inside the other room and it lights up everything. It isn't just from a single electrical panel sparking up.
Yep.
It is as stupid as before, if not more, because now that is literally the thing that caused the reactor to blow. Because I thought in the previous episode... May travelled after setting the door on fire, travels to the reactor and rigs the reactor to blow up.
Right.
Now they're showing that she didn't do that. It was just a chain reaction. I'm like, holy crap! Who made the electronics in this building?
Yeah. It's crazy that even in our real world, we have more higher technology. If something trips,
I know.
The circuit breaker goes.
Exactly.
And everybody's safe.
This is equivalent of your light bulb going out and causing your house to explode. It's just, what is going on? Holy crap. And, okay, so... this is the confrontation. Sol and the Padawan climb up through the roof.
Yep.
And they meet the witches. And we can easily track who is escalating what. Sol is trying to keep things calm.
Well, this is the problem. No, he's not, because from his point of view, what's happened is the witches had their test and then they've gone home. Then Sol has now broken back in and is now trying to take them again.
Well,
from the witches' perspective.
From the witches' perspective, yes. But the Jedi, in their position, are ready to de-escalate. Like, if they simply say, please go away, I think Sol would go, okay.
You think Sol would go... The dude who just climbed a mountainside to save a child is going to be like, yeah, we can go home. And the Padawan who's like, I need to kidnap that child to go home, you think they would just leave?
You might have a point. It's really... Because their motivations are...
That's what I mean. Like,
because they clearly say that they need their consent. And I feel like if the parents just said no... Because I think Sol is of the mindset, Osha wants to come with us, that gives me the right to take her. And the parents aren't saying...
I think he's that mindset.
And also in addition, and you're not saying no to Osha, which means I have a right to take her. If the parents just say, yeah, Osha wants to go, we're not letting her.
Yeah.
If he then pushed it further, that's illegal, everything.
But keep in mind that Padawan has been ready to take him by force the whole time.
Oh, well, the thing is, though, the Horn Witch Lady, she gets her weapon ready to strike, and that's what causes him to whip out his lightsaber. It was in response to her...
don't get me wrong, guys. I don't want to defend these witch covers, but they did break into their house.
They did.
And I am a firm believer in self-defense.
Yes.
So I can't sit here and go, yeah, the Jedi can just break into their house and take whatever. I'm like, from the witch's perspective, those Jedi have broken in, and they're like, get out.
But what if it, Again, they're a bunch of evil force users that are ready to perform some wacky ritual on a child that doesn't want it to happen. Does that give the Jedi some measure of legal authority to step in and stop the cult ritual? Because they know Osha doesn't want that to happen to her.
Yeah, but do they have any proof of this other than the kid's words?
Well, I think they're about to receive proof that they are absolute Dark Force users, and that's when the other mother turns into an evil smoke demon.
This one is so complicated because I'm of two minds of it. I agree, she does turn... She disapparates or whatever it is from Harry Potter. You know, the thing that Voldemort does?
Which is, again, this is the Force now.
Just whatever, magic, right? So she does look all demony and stuff. But at the same time, she's completely unarmed, and Sol just kills her.
Well, to me, the Force is a weapon, and that's her using it as a weapon. So I don't think she's unarmed. But also, I agree with like Mace Windu. You know, I think it was in line with the Jedi understanding of stopping bad Force users, evil Force users, right, to kill Palpatine, even though Palpatine was unarmed.
This is the problem. Is like the core of Jedi is that they are not the aggressors. They don't kill unarmed. They don't. That's the whole thing. It's supposed to be good. So this one, I don't have a strong stance either way because it doesn't make sense either way.
Well, see, I have a stronger stance because, like with Palpatine, he already showed the aggression by killing several Jedi already, and Mace, he needs to die. This is an evil Sith.
But keep in mind, this is what happened at the start of Revenge of the Sith when Anakin beats Dooku. He's like, kill him, and he's like, he's unarmed. And he kills him anyway, and he's like, I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't the Jedi way.
But no one judges him and says, no, it was justified.
Because
they thought it was in the heat of battle, but I don't think they would have justified him even if he was...
That's why when we get to the end, when Windu has Palpatine beat, and he's unarmed, like, he still has Force lightning, he's still super dangerous.
Yeah.
But Windu doesn't know this, and Anakin doesn't know this. This is why he's like, you can't kill him, he's unarmed, he has to stand trial. And then Windu goes to kill him anyway, and Anakin just goes...
Yeah. See...
It's complicated.
There are complications, right? But even with like Windu and Palpatine, Windu was gonna supposedly just kill him without Palpatine doing an additional act of aggression to trigger it. Whereas with Sol and the Witch Lady, she turns into a smoke demon right next to him, and it looks like she's gonna kill everyone. And Sol responds by killing her to stop it. And I'll be like, I'd probably do the same thing. But whatever it is, it's not them coming in and killing an innocent person to steal children. It's defensible from the Jedi's perspective, and then the fact that they want May to think the Jedi just came in and killed everyone, they're evil, that's not what happens.
I'm fine with this in terms of like, let's say, in the heat of the moment, he doesn't know what's going on, and he kills someone unarmed, sure. The problem is the very next scene where he won't kill the other one who is attacking him.
Who is now trying to kill him.
See the
contradictions?
That's the problem here.
And maybe it's the people who trying to defend it say it's because he regretted killing her and realised it was wrong. I'll be like, no. She turned into a Force demon. Sol, don't feel bad about that. It looked like she was ready to kill you and kill everyone.
Yeah,
but then he's like, now this other lady tried to kill me. Oh, I feel bad for what I just did, defending himself, and then he's not going to defend himself against the other one. But he doesn't actually need to because she's a hopeless fighter, and he just basically gets hit a couple of times, shrugs it off, dodges everything else. But then the witches go nuclear with what they want to do next because, again, the only thing that needs to happen to stop at any point is because Sol now doesn't want to fight. If the witches just say leave, I have a feeling he'd leave.
Yeah, I agree with you with that.
Because he shows he's now reluctant, I'm ready to de-escalate, and the witches, seeing that the Jedi are wanting to de-escalate, they decide to mind rape Kilnaka, the Wookiee Jedi, and get him to come and kill the other Jedi.
This is also the problem that I see, is like, what was the whole point of like seducing the Padawan one? If you can just magically choose which Jedi you want to take out, it was like one of those weird, it was, what should we say, Bran becoming king, you know? Like, it's just one of those random things where you're like, it makes sense if the Padawan is the one who's mind controlled.
And so, by the way, the witch that turned into the smoke demon, right? What was she thinking? It's a high-stress situation, right? People have the weapons out. They're ready to kill each other. And she thinks, I know what'll de-escalate this. I'll turn into a scary smoke demon. That'll stop... if she was actually trying to stop the conflict, that is the dumbest thing to do.
What happens is that's when the evil twin comes in screaming, help me, mummy, and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Because...
And so what my reading of what she was doing was she was gonna disapparate like Voldemort and just transport somewhere else.
Really?
But then Sol killed her.
But we actually don't know what she was trying to do because we don't know what that did, like when they disapparate.
But it was also doing it to the evil little twin.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. When she did the magical smoke thing, it was making the little one disappear as well.
Was it? So they probably were teleporting.
Yeah,
like, what the hell is it?
Thing.
Yeah, they could just smoke teleport, apparate like in Harry Potter. Holy crap. But so after the smoke demon gets killed, all the witches start attacking, right? But May has come in and said, we need help. Someone's just actually trying to save Ocean now, even though she literally said she's trying to kill him. Okay,
It is a child, so, you know.
Still contradicting, flipping on a dime what they're doing.
Sure, but children can do that. I'm much more forgiving of a child to go, I don't want to do this now, versus a fully grown adult Jedi master.
But here's the thing. The witches, right? They supposedly care for these children. They now are told that the children's lives are in danger. Not only that, they're trapped in the base. Okay? And Sol says, the girls are trapped, we need to go save her. And he says that to the witches. And the witches think, instead of saving the daughters from a base that is in the process of exploding, we're not going to screw them, let's kill the Jedi. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? You are actively letting the children you care for die. One is the supposed mother, letting your daughter die for the sake of trying to fight the Jedi now because the Jedi just need to die. And I was like, I guess they're, Dark Force users confirmed again, because that's something what they like. But that's their motivation. No, just kill Jedi. In fact, all the witches then decide to go on to this mind controlling, cult chant thing, and they overtake the Wookiee Jedi's brain, and the Wookiee Jedi attacks, and it's a lame fight scene with a Wookiee Jedi.
Oh, that fight scene was bad.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, the Wookiee Jedi is now being controlled by the evil Sith. So he's trying to kill those other ones, and there was so many times when he could have killed any of them.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't. I understand the hesitation.
Sol was not trying to kill him. That makes sense.
Neither the Padawan was just trying to survive, but the Wookiee was evil now.
Yeah.
So he was trying to kill them, but there was so many chances he just didn't.
Yeah. I get it was a crap fight scene, and they can't beat him, and Sol is getting beaten back, and then of course Trinity, she's the one. She comes in, pins the Wookiee Jedi, and I couldn't believe it, because all through this I'm thinking, all right, so we know the Jedi actively killed one of the people. I think it was more justified in self-defense because it was in response to a very aggressive smoke demon, right? And I'm wondering, how are all the other witches going to die?
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like, is something going to happen where the Jedi are going to be forced to kill everything? Because still, I'm wondering, what is going to motivate May to the point where the Jedi evil need to be killed? In context, she'll still be upset as my mum got killed, but she saw her mum lashing out, and that she understands the context of what happened there. And I was like, how are the Jedi going to kill the other witches? And how it's done is laughable. And it's absurd and as stupid as everything else.
I'm still not clear on what actually happened.
Yeah.
The Jedi Master chick, she does like a force power on the Wookiee, the restrained Wookiee on his head.
Basically a Vulcan mind meld in Star Wars.
Yes, and all the witches are chanting, they're doing their thing, and she frees the Wookiee, and they all just
die.
Adios. It's ridiculous.
I laughed out loud when that happened. She breaks the connection, and that apparently kills all the other witches that were mind controlling him.
The power of one. The power of many.
And then I'm like, okay. There are some things we need to break down with that, because either they're dead or they're just knocked out and they got killed in the explosion when it blew up.
Right.
Okay? Don't really know. It could just be they all got killed. But either them getting killed or being knocked out, that was purely and wholly a defensive action by the Jedi to free the Wookiee being mind raped and controlled by them, right? Cool. And so I do not blame the Jedi for forcefully breaking a mind control spell on him. Sure. And if the byproduct is they all die, she didn't know that would kill him. She just wanted to free the Jedi trying to kill everyone else.
I'm curious how many of the witches survived. Because all the archer ones, all the bow and arrow ones, plus the Zabrak one, they seem to just disappear. They teleported.
Yeah.
So are they out in the woods just safe?
I think the mother's still alive, but that's giving the writers too much credit. Where you think there's a clear, obvious direction where the plot would logically go, and unless they make it so painfully obvious that you wonder, they can't be that blatant, right? Like the reveal, unless they're that painfully obvious, they never do what the simple logical thing is, and so I can't give any.
There was no logic in this episode.
It was bonkers.
It was a
like I said,
episode.
possibly one of the worst pieces of television I've ever, because we're not even done yet. Something still happens, which is bafflingly stupid. Do you understand what I mean about, like, this episode was feeling like getting beaten over the head with a stupid stick, where I'm trying to recover by something so dumb, it's like, guess what? Another one! Bang! And I'm like, what is going on?
I wonder if this is what it's like to have Alzheimer's. Like, every time you have a conversation with someone, the next conversation is just completely disjointed. You don't know what's happening. That's kind of what this episode was like.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that's how the witches die. Self-defense by the Jedi trying to free the Wookiee getting mind raped by them. So, no, I don't blame them. And I think this is what supposedly set off May. The Jedi are so evil, and it's like, this is pathetic. This is like... I know that it's so dumb going up, and there is good questions about do they have the right to take the children and stuff now, but the escalation, what happens here is...
hold on. Those questions that we're talking about, those complicated ones, have existed in Star Wars for a long time.
Yeah.
That's not new because of this show.
Oh, yeah.
Those are overarching things.
Oh, yeah.
They don't get credit for any of that.
And I by the way... Any sympathy I have for the witches, right, with who's right, who's wrong, died when they had the chance to save the girls, and they say, basically, screw that, we want to kill the Jedi by mind controlling this guy and getting him to kill anyway.
Especially when you have the ability to teleport.
They had the ability to save the girls, and they're like, stuff them, they can die. It's like, okay... Yeah, it's pretty clear which side you should be on at this time. Jedi completely justified from there on, and the fact that they needed to kill them all, even though they didn't know that was going to kill them, to free them and stop them from one, killing everyone on their team, and two, saving the girls, which they're still trying to do. Right? The Jedi are fully justified in that, and the fact they're trying to vilify them in that or doing this is insane. And the fact that that's the thing that kills them is comically arbitrary and dumb. It's just like, okay, sure, that happened. And then they have to kind of get free. The other Jedi just need to leave because the base is about to explode. Sol, he wants to save the girls. Yeah. And so he then sees the girls.
Oh, but even that scene, just before we get to that, the master lady, she says, go save the children. And he hesitates. He's like, and she's like, go save the children. He's like, okay. It's like... Wasn't that your whole motivation this whole episode?
But they can't be consistent with that. Yeah. The writers probably forgot about it, right? And this is comical. I can't put So it's the scene where Osha and May are on this two halves of a broken bridge, right? And the broken bridges start to fall. And Sol, big brain Sol, right? He's gonna save him. What he does, he stops the bridges from falling, but they're so heavy he can barely hold on, and he doesn't think, hang on, I can just force grab the girls, who are much lighter, and they're both there.
So I'm gonna lift 20 tons. This is really hard, guys. Instead of 30 kilos each for the little girls with the force.
It's even worse because they have shown him hold a person with the force from falling. It was in episode 2, was it? Where Osha is about to fall and he literally grabs her with the force, right? So you know they can do it. You know Sol is strong enough. And so he's there struggling, trying to hold the bridges. And we're just thinking, just grab the girls with the force. Yeah. What are you doing?
No, he has a better solution. I'm just going to drop that one.
So then, after struggling, he's like... I'll let May die. Yeah. Let's May fall to her death, to his knowledge. Double hands on the thing, even though hands really shouldn't be, directing force power. And it's not really the size that should impact things. But I thought Sol, maybe he's emotional. I thought Sol he's such a master. Maybe.
Yeah,
you'd think he'd be a master that, size doesn't really matter to him. But this time it does. That was the lesson from Yoda. It's like, size matter not.
Yeah, well, remember, canon is just a suggestion at this point. Yeah,
so he is really struggling that he literally just screw you, May, you can die. And then he still can't hold onto this bridge. And it's just grab Osha, you retard. Yeah. And then he lets her go, it's falling, and he runs forward and grabs her and saves her. And that whole sequence, I was just... This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen on TV. Yeah. In context, because the context is this guy with the force.
Yeah.
And he can just grab him and just... Yeah. Watching this causes you to lose brain cells. It's that dumb.
Yeah.
So then Osha, she's, on the bed, and there's a conversation before, and they're all really, distraught about what happened. I'm like, hang on. All right. You kicked things off very poorly, but then it got so bad that their witches were ready to kill their girls and kill you, and you were forced to defend yourself, right? This is all very defensible and explainable, but they are like ripped up, like they went in there and just slaughtered everyone like it was the Red Wedding.
All of these things, of course, because we have hyper-emotional Jedi.
Yeah.
And this is what...
And idiots, they're retards.
This is what ruins it for me, because the only one who actually kind of acted like a Jedi the whole time was the Master Lady. She was the only one who had like some semblance of being a Jedi. And then right at the end, she becomes emotional too and goes, you can't do that. You have to be there for her. You have to... It's like... You're a Jedi. You're not supposed to be forming attachments right now. And it seems like all yous have all done this whole episode is form attachments to things. It's...
And their actual, explanation is justified. Like, they were attacked and they defended themselves.
Yeah.
That's it. But they're like, we have to keep it secret. And Saul is like, I must report to the council. I'm like, yeah, do that, but you wouldn't get punished for it because...
And keep in mind, this is all the council's fault.
Yeah.
Because they told the council and they said... You can't interfere anymore. Also, stay there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the council just as much.
I mean, the young Padawan guy, he is a retard for running to the things like, that's our ticket out of here, right?
And didn't he become a Jedi?
Yeah.
Yeah, he became a Jedi.
Such a masterful Jedi that he could stop anyone hitting him at all.
Yeah. So that guy deserved to be a Jedi.
Being a retard pays off.
The Wookiee that somehow had his mind taken over and then tried to kill all his comrades. He was still a Jedi. Yeah. Soul, super emotional. Wanted to kidnap children. He became a Jedi. A master. Yep. It just seems crazy. These Jedi are super duper incompetent, super duper emotional. It's almost as if they're not Jedi.
Yeah, it's like almost as if the people writing this don't understand a friggin' thing about Star Wars.
Yeah. Just put some robes on them and give them a lightsaber. That's a Jedi.
But this isn't real Star Wars. We've known this from the beginning. This is Disney Star Wars, a completely separate foreign entity of actual Star Wars, and this is just an imposter trying to dupe people in to give them money by wearing a skin suit of something far greater than what the slop that they're making. And so then the higher lady Jedi, she's like, we will tell them the truth. OSHA started a fire and everyone died. And I'm like...
But she says it like, that's the truth... That's the alternative truth. But it's like, no, that was actually
That's
the truth.
what happened! Yeah, like, that's what I mean. Yeah, she literally is presenting it like we're gonna lie.
Yeah.
Instead, they do tell the truth.
Yeah.
And look, there is some stupid things that led up to it.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of things where like you all made massive mistakes, sure.
But I even think if they stood on trial in the council and there's like, all right, they're acting aggressively. Oh, one was literally turning into an evil dark side smoke demon. Okay, Sol, understandable. Right? And so when he says I must face the council, I was like, for what? Defending yourself? Yeah, going there is the iffy thing, yet there's defense for it by saying it's an evil coven of dark side witches that are about to perform a ritual to sacrifice a girl that doesn't want it done to her. I know there's a counter argument, but at least there is a defensible argument they could make. They're saying there's like everything they've done here is just indefensible. And they have to hide it and make a big cover up. And this is the mystery of the show. And I'm like, that's it? Really? Holy crap! And then the episode ends. That's it. Oh wow!
One more episode left, and like I said right at the beginning, keep in mind the actual story. This doesn't impact at all.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. This entire episode, and it's a flashback, and now we only have one left to wrap up the actual. It's not even a story. The actual Acolyte season.
Oh, but you know what I think they'll do now? OSHA's gonna find out that Sol murdered the mother when she was turning into a smoke demon. They won't mention the demon part. They'll just say Sol murdered your mother, and Sol will be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. And then OSHA's going to be like, Jedi, bad! I am the Acolyte now! That's what I think they're going to do.
Yeah.
Wow. And they'll probably have a reveal that Smiley Wren's master is the mum. The horn mum.
The straw that broke the camel's back, man, this show. This is just...
It hurts your brain. It is like one of the worst pieces of television I think I've ever seen. This episode, like, at the beginning of Acolyte, I was thinking the writing isn't as bad as Rings of Power. This episode, 100% is as bad, if not worse. Just the sheer density of contradictions and stupidity and baffling, like...
This is a constant issue we've had throughout the entire season, is all the characters' motivations just seem so flipping on a dime. People are just doing the opposite. They're flipping scene to scene. This one epitomizes all of that to an even worse degree.
Galadriel was a narcissistic psychopath that wanted war and corrupted Sauron himself into being evil, but at least she was more consistent.
Yeah. At least didn't she just you know, she didn't want to go home.
I just want to go home. The Jedi would never let me go home. I'm gonna, be tempted by the dark side. It's like,
that's all we've got for you, because honestly, that's all. I don't know what to say. This is just crazy.
I'm in awe that this was made.
Yeah.
In this state to this standard.
Yeah.
The only way it could have been made is that multiple, not just one, multiple people need to be unbelievably incompetent. Because even if they were setting out intentionally to destroy Star Wars, the way they would do it is to subvert, make the Jedi out bad, everything, and still make it make sense and logical. Like, this is making themselves look so bad. The only explanation is unbelievable, astounding incompetence of the likes I've rarely seen.
It's to such a degree where you go, it takes you out of the story. Because when you're sitting there and she's trying to seduce the Padawan, and he goes, I just want to go home. You're sitting there like, hold on. We're talking about a Jedi Padawan in like an evil witch coven and the darkness. He's surrounded by masters, and the only thing that he's thinking about is, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Like...
And there's a ship that he could just hop in, go home at any time, right? And he would strand him, but if he's willing to entertain the dark side, I think that's a lesser thing, just taking the ship off, right? But then the fact that he knows he's going to be going home a bit later anyway. Yeah. This is literally just like, I get to knock off work a bit earlier, and it's so much of a temptation. It'll betray his value, his loyalty to the light side of the Force. Yeah. And entertain the temptation of the dark side because he wants to go home early.
All you could have done to just fix this ridiculous thing is just make him a little bit, have a bit too much emotion, a bit too angry, a bit too this, and maybe prod him a little bit, maybe goad him, make him use his emotion, make him lash out in anger, and it would just make more sense. This is just it literally is you want some candy? You want to go home? Yeah, you want to go home?
It's worse than that. He has candy at home that he can have. And then they're like, you want some candy even though he knows he's already... It's that dumb. And, there are multiple ways they could have tried to make... when I say multiple, thousands. What if he was already getting tempted by the dark side and other things like that? This is just nonsense.
Because think of it like this. He wants to go home so much, he disobeys his own masters, gets on a speeder to go to an enemy base to kidnap children.
Which he didn't even need to do because he already had evidence for it.
About what, in all of what I just said then, what about that is anything to do with Jedi?
Yeah.
Any of that.
And how could going home be the thing that pushes him so far to do such retarded, extreme, contradictory, even borderline evil stuff, right? Holy crap. But the writers unironically think that's the
a good
temptation.
Character motivation.
Right there. Going home.
All right, that's all, because I'm done talking about Acolyte.
I'm wow. But we have one more episode to do. We'll be there. We're not giving up. Because I know. But that's what we do. Stay on watch.